So I have reached out to the senior folks in our organization. So I have sent them the logs and all whichever you have shared with me. So we'll wait. Like I'll try to get in touch with them today as well and see if they can help us in any way. If yes, no, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, now you are able to do that with you were first. Mm-hmm. Okay, what is the state of the deployment now? Sure. I mean, like it should be active. The state of that particular deployment should be. Go ahead, Noor. Like share your screen. We'll see it. Yeah, sure. Abhishek, like yesterday, you were asking something related to that security, right? I see your message just now. Uh, you can, like everything seems to be fine there, but just the security level, right? Just make the security level as medium.
Okay.
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 So
Okay.
if you just give the security level as medium, it should fix your issue.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Uh, yeah. Pawan, any issues from your end, or all we good?
Yeah, I'm good, Parith.
Okay. And guys, like I know this Friday it's holiday, so what do you guys think? Like, shall we have this session, or shall we connect back on Monday?
We can have, Parith. My suggestion is to have.
Okay. Abhishek and Noor, what do you guys say?
Yeah, Pradeep, we can have it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm just asking, as it was a long weekend, right? So if you guys have any plans, and also, yeah, is go to deployments. See, it is failed in state. Yeah, click on that failed. Click on that failed. See, it shows all the three are failed. VAR, EGB, everything is failed. Mm-hmm. Sure, no, yeah. No, you can do this in like kind of background, so I can just get started. Yeah. Let me know guys if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, Pradeep.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So guys, like on Friday, we have discussed about couple of things. First thing, the major thing we discussed was on the create order, how it will get created, what are all the APIs, what are all the templates we use on get order details, get order list, and how to use those templates and all stuff we have discussed on Friday. So today we are going to use today we are going to see what is an integration server, how an integration server can be used, and if there are any exceptions, how that can be fixed. All those things we are going to see today. So as we discussed on Friday, any message which is coming from the front-end system, that is the order capture system, it comes in an XML format, and they will push the message into a JMS queue. And in Sterling order management system, we will have an integration server, and that integration server will consume the message, and they will be invoking create order API. So we are going to try out by creating a new integration server, by creating a new JMS queue, and we will only push the message into the JMS queue, and we will see how exactly the integration server acts on top of that particular message. So today, in order to create an JMS queue, we will be creating the JMS queue in WebLogic. And as part of our ActiveKite blog, we have what we call that the entire stepwise procedure on how to create a JMS queue. I'll provide this particular link on creating WebLogic queue, so you guys can follow these particular steps. For creating a WebLogic queue, first we should create a JMS server, then a JMS module. Okay, you can see then first I'm creating JMS server, then I have to create JMS module, then I have to create something called as a connection factory. You can see, then I have to create a connection factory, then I'll be creating a queue. Okay, so you guys can just follow these particular steps. I would share you this particular link, but in my case, I have already created like long ago my JMS server I have created, and I have also created JMS module for that particular server. I have also created connection factory. So today what we will do, we will create a new queue. Okay, you can see I have a JMS server, I have a JMS module, and under JMS module, you can see I have one connection factory. My connection factory name is agent QCF, and there are many queues in my system. Okay, so today what I'll do, I'll create one more new queue. So I'm creating new queue. You can give whatever name you want for queue. So what I'll do, I'll just give create order. Maybe what I'll do for my new customer. So my customer is Agio. Okay, so for create order Agio, I'm creating a new queue. Just click next, sub deployment as sub, and just click finish. So with this, you can see that a new queue has been created in our WebLogic server. Now, this particular queue will be exposed to the front-end system. Exposed to the front-end system is nothing but in Sterling, we will create a service, and we will give that service to the, sorry, we will give this particular queue to the front-end system. And whenever they push the message into this particular queue, the service, whatever we are creating in our system, will consume that particular message. Okay, so let me open our configurator. If anything is confusing or something, please stop me then and there. So now what are we going to do? First thing is we have created the JMS queue. Second thing is, in general, what happens, the front end system, whenever somebody like us places an order in Agio, that particular order will be pushed into a JMS queue. But here we don't have the front end system, right? So what we will do, we will create a service called as push message to queue. So we will create a service which will help us to push the message to queue, and we will create one more service which will consume message from queue. So ideally, this particular service has to be there in any implementation, because when any external system is publishing the message to the queue, there should be a service in DOM or OMS in order to consume or pull that particular message. But this particular push message to queue, it is just for testing purpose I am creating here, because I don't have any front end system. Okay. Now I would create. For creating a service, you guys might have already created the first Java program service, that is under applications, application platform. You can go to process modeling. Under order fulfillment, you have to go, this particular place is called as services. So under services, you can select the topmost hierarchy. Just click place. I'll give my service group name as Agio, and I'll give this as we just discussed, test the push message. Okay. Now coming to whether it should be asynchronous or asynchronous. So what is meant by synchronous? What is meant by asynchronous? In general English terms, synchronous is something like where we get the response immediately. Okay. So anything which responds back to us is called as a synchronous call. Like for example, you make a call to payment gateway, you get the response immediately. Or in layman terms, you are making a call to your friend, or you are sending a message to your friend. Then and there you can see whether that particular message is delivered or not. Okay. Asynchronous. Asynchronous is something where you don't get the response immediately, and we are least bothered about the response. Something like you posted a letter to your friend, or you sent a courier to your friend, so you don't know the status, or you don't get the response immediately, like after 3 4 days or something. Unless your friend says that he received the message, you will not be knowing it. So synchronous is something where you get the response immediately, and asynchronous is something where you don't get the response immediately, and also you are not dependent on the response. So now first thing is, this particular push message to queue, whether it should be synchronous or asynchronous. Basically, what are we doing here? What are we planning to do here? We are planning to have a JMS queue and push the message into the JMS queue. So you should know immediately whether that particular message is pushed successfully or not. So that's why we would configure push message to queue in a synchronous mode, and consume message from queue, this would be in asynchronous flow. Why this is going to be in asynchronous flow? Because whenever the front end system is making or pushing the message into this particular queue, there is an integration server. Okay, there is an integration server which is consuming the message. For example, that particular integration server is not running or having issues, or it is down. It can be any reason where you may not get the response immediately. So that is the reason why we would configure the push message to queue service as synchronous and consume message from queue as asynchronous. Similarly, whenever you guys were creating that particular first Java program, you have created it as synchronous because whenever you invoke that service, you are getting the response immediately. What is meant by invoking the service? Invoking the service is nothing but you are what you call that hitting that particular API in API testing. Okay. So any doubts on this particular asynchronous and asynchronous?
No, Pradeep.
Due to that integration server only, we are configuring this sync, right?
Yes, exactly. So you can say simply, or else you can, if you feel that it is a confusion between synchronous and asynchronous, it is as simple as that. In Sterling, wherever integration server is present, you configure it as a synchronous service. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm going to create a synchronous service because I'm just pushing the message. So what I'll do, this is my start and end uh, what you call nodes. Okay. And we will put a JMS queue here, and I'm just connecting the dots. The minute I connected the dots, you can see this particular JMS queue is getting highlighted and it is asking me to enter certain details. First thing is the destination name. Destination name is nothing but my queue name. Okay, so you can see my queue name is create order Agio. Second thing is a provider URL. Provider URL is nothing but who exactly is providing this particular service of this queue. Okay, in our case, it is our local host, right? So what we will do, we will just some T3 local host or something like that. Something like this, yeah. Local host 7001. Okay, that is our provider URL. And what is our connection factory? Our connection factory is agent QCF. Okay, and time to leave. How many minutes or seconds you want the message to be present in the queue? For example, here I give 10 seconds. Okay, and I push the message to this particular queue. Within 10 seconds, if the integration server is consuming the message, then it is well and good. If the integration server is down or something, and if it is not picking the message within that time, then this particular message will be deleted. So, or else I can say this particular message will be expired. Okay. So, in general, in any implementation, we will have the time to live as 0 seconds. Zero is something which is infinite, where the message, unless and until it is consumed, it will not get expired. Okay. And initial context factory is nothing but which particular server is hosting your JMS queue. In our case, it is WebLogic. Okay. So with this, you can see we have created the service to push the message into the queue. So once anytime whenever you create any new service, after creating the service, you have to refresh. You can see currently my Agio is down here. So the minute I refresh, you can see Agio came somewhere here. Okay. So that means the changes are getting activated. Okay. So now what we will do, we will push a create order XML to the queue. So our create order message is this. So I'll just give the order number as 10. Okay. So I'm pushing this message to what is my service name? My service name is test push message. So test push message, and it is a service. I have to give my credentials. I'm invoking the service. So now what should happen? The message will be pushed into the queue. You can see immediately I got an API success message and the message is in the queue now. Let us go and see whether the message is in the queue or not. So this is our JMS queue. So here you have something called as monitoring, and here in the monitoring you can see the current messages is 1. Okay, if you want to see the message also, you can select and you can click on show messages, and here you can see the message. You can see, so this is our test Jan 10. This particular message is present currently in the queue. Okay, now what is our next step? There should be somebody who is consuming the message. Consuming the message is nothing but an asynchronous service. So now let us create an asynchronous service. So asynchronous service also I'm creating it under Agio. So I'll just mention test consume message. As we discussed, it should be in asynchronous mode. So here also we have to consume the message. So I'm putting a JMS queue, and after consuming the message, what should happen to the message? We should invoke create order API, right? So in order to invoke the create order API, we just have to go to components, bring an API component, and have the dots connected. So here what happens, whenever any message is present in the queue, and if this particular server is running, that particular server will consume the message and it will invoke the API whichever is configured here. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll configure the server JMS queue properties. So here the JMS queue properties, as we all know, destination name. Destination name is nothing but the name of our queue. Name of our queue, and provider URL. It's the same provider URL, whatever we have, the T3 local host. Okay, and initial context factory is WebLogic, and connection factory is agent QCF. Okay, and initial threads, how many threads you want to run? We are going to run in one thread. Okay, and yeah, the rest all is not needed. Coming to server, let us create a new server. If you want to create a new integration server, it is as simple as you just have to come, click on this plus, just create a name. So what I'll do, I'll just give Agio create order. This is my server name. I'm creating the server, okay, and reconnect. For example, if there is some problem with the connection between the server and the JMS queue, you can have a reconnect time. So let it be 10 minutes exception. So here, let us have type of an alert, like let us assume order create alert. Okay, order create Agio alert. So what happens here is, anytime if there is any issue in this particular flow, it will create an alert. You guys remember, as I was mentioning, there is something called as an alert console, and whenever any issue happens, it will be alerted in this particular alert console. And how that particular alert console will be, you have to mention the type of alert. Okay, so here what I am giving, I'm just giving create order Agio is my alert. So whenever you want to understand or you want to find what are all the alerts raised in this particular service, you can just take this particular alert type, give it here and click on search. So you will get all the alerts that are created by this particular server. And queue name, this is not our JMS queue, this is an alert queue. I'll make you guys understand once any alert is raised. Okay, and we want it to be reprocessable. Okay, so with this we are good with the JMS queue, and I'm going to API. I'm giving standard API. and we want to invoke create order API. Create order API. Okay, with this I'm saving subservice name. You can give anything, like you can even write like something like this, test Pradeep name. You can give anything. Subservice name is just a pointer. Okay, so I have created the service now, and after creating the service we have to refresh. So still we are able to see that particular message here only. You can see the total message count, and we can see the message is still here. Why the message is still here? Because we have configured the service, but we have not yet started the server. Okay, so now let us see how to start the server. In order to start the server, you have to go to your C folder in OMS. Okay, in the under that you have bin. Okay, here you can just open the command prompt in this particular folder, COMS bin, and here you have something called as start integration server.cmd. Okay, so what you can do, you can just give start integration server.cmd space name of your server. What is our name of our server? It is Agio create order. That is, sorry, Agio create order. This is my server name. Did I give it right? A capital, C capital, O capital. Okay, so you just click on enter. It would start our server, and once the server is started, it has to consume the message and it has to invoke create order API. Any doubts so far? At least say yes or no.
No doubt.
No Pradeep.
Okay, so you can see that my particular Agio create order server is started. Okay, and let us see whether that particular message is present or not. So what I'll do, I'll just go back to my JMS server, sorry, module, JMS module, and Agio monitoring. You can see the message count is 0, and you can see there is a consumer. There is a consumer. Consumer means there is some integration server which is consuming currently. Okay, so the current messages is 0. That means that the message is consumed by that particular agent server or integration server, and it has invoked create order API. Let us see whether that particular order is created or not. You can go to test jan 10 and see the order is created. Okay, any doubts on this?
No Pradeep.
No, no problem.
So the next thing is alert. Like we just now configured something called as an alert, right? And also we have created something called as is reprocessable exception. So what is meant by that? For example, whenever Agio is sending this particular message to us, let us assume that in, for this particular fulfillment type, or else let us assume they have given enterprise code as something like this, something like what do you call, some spelling mistake. Let us assume something like this. Okay, so now let us see how this thing works. So I'm just giving a new order number. My new order number is test jan 11. You can see my new order number is test jan 11. It's just that they have given a wrong data. And now let us push the message into the queue. Okay, so I'm invoking test push message. So I just gave wrong enterprise code. I just push the message, and I guess it would be very fast. Let me just go back. You can see current messages is 0 because already the integration server has consumed, but the message total is 2 because one message for test order 10, one message for test order 11. Let us see whether test order 11 is created or not. So test order 11, it's not yet created. So what happened to test order 11? So ideally, what should happen? Let us see. Let us assume. Okay, I am with that same input. I am invoking create order API and understand what might have happened. So you can see it is throwing some error as invalid organization code. So the same way, whenever my integration server is consuming the message and it is invoking the create order API, it would have also thrown the same error, right? So now let us see where the error is thrown and how to reprocess that particular error. So as we just discussed, let us go to alert console and check whether any alert is raised or not for order create Agio. Okay, it should be everything. Okay, maybe it would have raised in exception console. Let us see here. So I just have to give the service name, service name. Why? Maybe enter the process will, right? Come on, this should not be the case. Just a second, guys. It is something weird. It is process error. Nothing I created. It we got any error here. Okay, let me. Okay, I got the error here. Why there is nothing here? Okay, it is a little slow. Let me see now. See, okay. It is a little slow actually. Sorry, guys. So now what has happened? Let us see in alert console. Also, it should have created. Let me give my alert type. Where is alert type? Okay, sorry guys. It is a little slow maybe. So you can see that as part of that particular alert console, I can go and give my alert name. Okay, and it has created an alert. What is the alert? Alert is something when an issue or any exception occurred during that particular service invocation. So here what has happened, we have pushed the message into the queue and it has been consumed to this by this particular integration server, and whenever it is invoking the API, it is throwing some error. What is the error? You can see that it has thrown invalid organization, right? So it is telling that an alert is thrown. This is the alert which is thrown, at what time it is being thrown and all stuff you can see. Now you can see this particular alert is linked to some integration error ID. So let us go to that particular integration error ID. And here you can see clearly that this is the input XML what has come, and this is the error message what has happened. That is YFS invalid organization code. So what we can do, we can modify what is the data that is wrong here. Okay, you can modify, you can see I'm just modifying matrix, and you can click on reprocess. So now what happens, you can see that that particular exception state moves to pending reprocess. That means that whenever you are modifying the data and clicking on reprocess, again the message will be invoking the same service. Okay, so let us see if the server is started or not, or else let me start the server once again. In local guys, sometimes it will be like this only. You have to keep restarting your server. That is how it is, because the memory allocation in our system and all, right, it would not be that great compared to the original instance. It is still pending reprocess. And whatever the integration error you have seen here, the same thing you can see in our exception console. Here you can just give date, like yesterday's date and tomorrow's date. I'm just giving. Okay, it is in pending reprocess status right now. Okay, you can see. Don't know why it is not consuming. God, it's taking so much time. Okay, you can see now our issue has moved to fixed. You can see that particular test jan 11 exception, it has matrix code as MAA. So we have corrected it and we have reprocessed it, and you can see the exception state moved to fixed. So now let us go and see whether test jan 11 has got created or not. We can see the test jan 11 has got created. So whenever an issue something like this happens, this is very generic thing guys. Like whenever any external system is publishing the messages, and you are having an integration server to consume the message, there are many issues something like this, and all those particular issues will be logged as part of our exception console. Or if you are going to check in database, it will be in YFS reprocess error table, where you can just go click on that particular reprocess button, and you can just fix those particular issues. Okay, any doubts, issues, concerns?
No, Pradeep.
Awesome. So now I just want to share one more thing. For example, okay, external system says that we are placing, or else let us assume some other example. They are making some XYZ call to Sterling OMS, and they say that the messages are getting stuck in the queue and it is not reaching OMS. Okay, so let us assume they are pushing the message into some queue. I'll just take not our create order Agio queue. Let us assume manage item April queue. Okay, so what is happening is, you guys might have had these issues in your project. that the messages are getting stuck in queue, messages are getting stuck in queue. And whenever somebody says like that, they will just say the message is stuck in manage item April queue. Now the question is how to see what is the integration server that is responsible to consume the message, or what is the name of the service where this particular queue is configured. Any idea, guys? Like for example, let us assume our create order Agio queue only. Okay. Unless and until you have created these services, you will not know the services are created by this name. Okay, like for example, you can see there will be hundreds of services in your system. In these particular hundreds of services, where exactly this particular queue is used, we will not know. In order to understand that, first of all, we should understand two table names. Okay, there is one table called as YFS flow. What is meant by this YFS flow? YFS flow is nothing but it will have the list of services what all are configured in Sterling order management system. Okay, for example, we have configured some Hello World program. Okay, test Hello World. So let us see where exactly, how exactly it will be. So where flow name is equal to test Hello World. So whenever I give like this, you can see that particular record is present in YFS flow table. And here the question is about the queue. Okay, so there is one more table called as YFS subflow. YFS subflow. What all things will be present in this YFS subflow? All the details of that particular flow. Like let us assume this is a flow or this is a service. And in this service, what all things are present? We have one node, we have one link, we have one API component. And in that API component, you have API name, class name, method name. Okay, again, you have one more link, you have end. So whatever is configured here, that will be stored in YFS subflow table. Okay, so now let us assume I want to see what all things are configured in test Hello World program. So what I'll do, I'll just run this, take the flow key, okay, and put it in YFS subflow where flow key is equal to YFS subflow, and you can see there is some config XML. So I'll just take this config XML, put it in my notepad for your understanding. Sorry guys. So you can see this is the XML which is stored in YFS subflow table. So here you can see what is the first thing present? A node. What is the node name? Start node. That is what you are seeing here. And after that, what do you have? A link. You can see there is a link. Okay, after that again there is one more. This is any dot is called as a node. Okay, so again this is a node. You can see node, and under that node what do you have? You have an API. Node type is API. Under that API what do you have? You have API name, class name, method name. So you can see the same thing: class name, method name, API name, all those stuff. Okay, under that you have something called as arguments. You can see arguments. Okay, under that facts, templates, and all. If you have all those things will come here. And after the node, what do you have? You have an link. So you can see there is a link. And after that, what you have? You have a node. That is an end node. So you can see there is an end node. So the same way, any service, any flow which is configured, all the details of that flow will be present in subflow table under the config XML. So now, for example, I want to know this particular queue where it is configured. So for that, you can directly go to subflow table where config XML like, okay, So you are just searching this particular queue in that particular config XML. So with this, you will get a flow key. So as part of that particular list of flows, this particular queue is used in two places. So let us see what are the two places they are using it. So this is one and this is one more. I'm just putting it aside so that I'll write a query. So let's start from ifs flow where flow key in. Okay. So with this, I got to know that it is being used in test push message and test consume message. And again, where is the test push message and test consume message? You can see there are many things under that, right? I mean, like there are many groups or folders or groups. Okay. So that is nothing but you can see the flow group name is Agio. Okay, if you still scroll right, you have something called as order fulfillment. So basically, whenever you open this particular process modeling, this will open. And under which particular thing the service is present. Under order fulfillment, you can go to first thing is order fulfillment. Then you have to go to the group that is Agio. Okay, under Agio, you have two services that is test consume message, test push message. So whenever somebody says that this particular queue is stuck with some messages, then what we have to do, we have to come and check this particular server, whether this server is running or not. With that, we will understand whether that particular, what you call that, server has some issues or why that particular queues are getting stuck, sorry, messages are getting stuck and all stuff. And also you can also see if there are any exception raised based on this particular alert type. And if there is any exception raised, you can reprocess that particular exception. All those stuff can be done as part of this particular issue. Any doubts on that, guys?
No, Pradeep.
No,
Okay,
Pradeep.
that's great. And sorry to say that, guys, like I have to stop it here today. Like, though we have some 10 minutes, like, I have some personal things to take care. Okay, maybe I would just say that, like, actually, I have some tickets to book, which will open at 10 o'clock. So I just have to get ready for that. So we would start today here.
Sure, Pradeep. Okay.
Yeah, sure, Pradeep.
And yeah, I like every day I would share the what you call that list of things whatever we are discussing. I would share that as well, and let us, you guys can try it out and all stuff.
Okay.
Okay, and Noor, okay, now it is in yeah, I'm already seeing your screen. So it is in prepared status. This is something weird actually. Logic. Okay, so it says that application after a while changed just to okay, okay. Well, I'm trying today started running on server service. Okay, so there is some option. Okay, select that SMCFS. Noor, Noor, you there? Yeah, select that particular checkbox. Checkbox. Click on that start. Yeah, that one only. Servicing all request. Yeah, click on that. Yeah. So we are getting the same JMS SQL exception, right? Yeah. So sure, Anur, like I have mentioned, right? Like I have already shared these things with my senior folks. I would check and get back to you. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone. And Abhishek, you can try that medium security and let me know.
Yeah, I tried Pradeep and it's working.
Okay, awesome, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Yeah, thank you, Pradeep.